Let's bring in Chris Long. How are you, Chris?
Rich, what's up, man? How are you?
I enjoyed your video of watching you live and die with your bet on the Chicago Bears. Did you push? Is that what ended up happening?
I pushed.
All right.
I pushed mercifully, but I mean, it was right there. It was right there.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, it was right there. I mean, and not just that, the drop early in the game too. You know, there's some really costly drops, including the one at midfield in the 2-minute drill. I still think I'm on the right side there.
Well, I mean, and Justin Fields had a clear first down right in front of him, and he got tripped up, and he fell about a half yard short. If he picks that one up, I mean, that's the NFL for you, isn't it? You know?
Yep, no question. When you're watching the Bears, 3rd and 1, too. Yeah, I go on all day about how the Bears wound up losing that game 2-12 to Flacco in the 4th. What's going on?
I mean,
it's 2023.
But the Bears defense is definitely playing better, don't you think? I mean, that's for sure. You know?
Yeah, the Bears defense is awesome. I mean, TJ Edwards made a couple big plays late in that game. Stevenson, all those guys. I've been singing their praises. You know, the Thursday night game that they won against the Vikings, I thought they really put it all together, and they just keep playing well. But like, that's the difference right there. I think if they catch that Hail Mary, they might be going on a run here.
Do you think Justin Fields has proven he should stay? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's no right answer here. I think it just comes down to if you prefer the quarterback that's making a bunch of money or a guy on a rookie deal. But in my opinion, Justin Fields is a known commodity, and I like the commodity. You know, somebody like Atlanta, you maybe see what Atlanta is willing to send up your way for Justin Fields, but I like Justin Fields. I'm a Justin Fields fan. People want to argue with you all day on it, but you know, evaluating quarterbacks, as we've seen, is the most inexact science in the world, and it depends on context. So, you know, you got Bears fans asking to fire the coordinator. That's not a perfect situation for Justin Fields. I think it's a pretty good situation. But the Bears are moving in the right direction.
Rich Eisen Show Radio Network just returned to the Roku channel feed. I'm talking to Chris Long, and I'm sitting at the Rich Eisen Show desk furnished by Grainger with supplies and solutions for every industry. Grainger has the right product for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. I will ask you an old school sports talk constructed question, Chris. Did we learn more about the Cowboys or the Bills on Sunday?
We already knew that about the Cowboys. Like, I'm not anti-Cowboys. I'm not one of these all or nothing people where it's got to be the best team in the world or they're terrible. Like, they're a good football team, but you can run the football in this team. And coming into this game, I like the Bills because of Cook and because of the tight ends, and I thought the middle of the field was going to be an issue for them in the run and the pass game. But for the Bills to feature this offense, you know, where Josh Allen doesn't really have to go back and drop back and do much. That's not to say he didn't do anything. There's the occasional 3rd and 9 where he rips it to Diggs and he catches it with one hand, and you're like, oh, these two guys. You know, they softened you up and took the shots when they had to. Like, I think it was maybe the first drive on that deep over to Diggs. They just pounded the ball, and that play where Cooks got the ball in the scrum and he goes for like 10 yards after contact. I've been in that situation when you're a defense and it dawns on you that, oh, actually, like, it's not just they're going to feature the run game in the game plan. It is the game plan, and it's loud here, and they're committed to it. And the very next play, they hit that deep over. And I think not having a James Cook in the past, or having a James Cook in the past and not using him is a huge indictment on the last guy. But also, you know, it goes to show your answer was there all along. And in the biggest spots, Josh Allen has never had a receiving back like this, nor has he really had a ground attack like this. Some of the cuts that he made in the middle 15 minutes of this game before the half, where they really took their soul on that drive, and then they come out in the 3rd quarter and run the ball 11 out of 15 plays. I mean, that just tells that team on the other sideline, like, this game is absolutely over. And if they can do this and feature it, they are possibly the most dangerous team in the AFC. I mean, you watch the other teams, and one of the reasons I've been standing on the table for Kansas City is because the field is down too. And as the Bills ascend, you look at some of these examples in the past of New England making a run late in the season in their first championship season. I think they lost their last game to the Rams, eerily similar to the way the Bills lost in overtime, close ball game to the Eagles, a team they could see if they get that far. And then they go on that long run. The Giants too, that wild card run. I think they're 7-7 at that point. So there's reason to believe if you're Buffalo, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that the AFC is, including Baltimore, they look beatable.
Yeah, and Baltimore looks terrific as well. And I painted a scenario. Obviously Baltimore would have to lose out, and they do have some difficult opponents. San Francisco in San Francisco, and then Miami at home. And then they play a Steelers team that who the heck knows would show up. It could be one of those throw the records out things. But I don't think the Bills can be a 1 seed. I kind of threw it out there as a possibility. Yeah. But them as a 2 seed and an AFC East champion 2 seed is a million% possible.
They're absolutely going to have an opportunity to host a playoff game. I mean, that's going to be within their control. And last night was the reason. That was like, if you can get this game, I know you can beat these next 2 teams. But the problem with the Bills, are they the new Bills or the old Bills earlier this season where you lose to the Patriots? The Chargers, they're 2 touchdown favorites. I feel like you can never say anything for sure in the NFL, but you feel good about this one. The Pats, that's going to be Bill with his back against the wall. He wants to beat the Bills maybe one last time. And then you go down to Miami, and I watch that team, and they're very good, right? They've yet to beat a winning team since last September. And you go to Miami, and I feel like all the pressure would be on Miami in that scenario, because that would mean that they're playing for everything. And you saw the first matchup it'd be a little different, but this defense is playing really well. Last night, I thought Sean McDermott, that run blitz on 2nd and 1 in the red zone early in that game, that was Dallas's last chance to get a touchdown there and keep up. But he dialed that run blitz up, and Dallas was running the football. Timely blitzes, timely pressures, sat back there, played zone. And in the second half, it was like Dak had nothing downfield, and the rushers and the guys on the back end playing downhill. All of a sudden, this looks like a pretty good defense again. They might not be what they were before Trey White, before you lose Milano, but they're still pretty good.
Chris Long here on the Rich Eisen Show. I feel like instead of level of concern segment, we should do a segment called "How Do We Fix It?" So how do we fix it with Dallas right now? How do we fix their inability to play on the road like they do at home? How do you fix that?
They got a big guy down up front. You get him back, you'll be better. You're not going to be able to host a bunch of playoff games in the playoffs. Obviously, this was a big one. Now, the Eagles, Monday night, I worry about them. They changed their defensive coordinator, that sort of thing. They could still win the East, but it's kind of in Philly's control. I think for Dallas, it's try to closely follow a game script where you're not down 2 scores, because I just don't like them in that scenario. I know it sounds simple, but they can't really fix anything. They're going to be a little bit suspect in the middle of the field and up the middle in the run game. And, you can slow these rushers down. I mean, we've seen it happen before with Micah. He's incredible. But when you throw enough things at him in the run game, it's hard for him to play fast. And he does honor his keys and that sort of thing. So I think for Dallas, it's just got to be a situation where you got to get in the right matchups in the playoffs and hope for the best, like most teams.
And then I guess let's move to the Kansas City Chiefs. How do you fix Kadarius Toney? Because how do you do it?
You don't fix Kadarius Toney, and I feel like they're banging their head against the wall trying to fix Kadarius Toney. It almost felt like, hey, we're in a 3-touchdown ball or a 3-score ball game late in this game. We feel like it's in hand. Maybe that's why we're throwing him the ball, but I don't like him touching the ball at all. And maybe in that situation, they're trying to work him into some confidence, a rhythm, or whatever they're doing. But you see Patrick Mahomes on the sideline, and it's a look of a guy that I don't know if it's him, but somebody's sticking their neck out for this guy in that locker room or in that building. And it just the look of disappointment, like we've given you so many chances. And I don't want to, I'm careful saying this because Andy Reid's one of the best to ever do it. But eventually it's just his fault. It's the coach's fault because we know exactly who Kadarius Toney is. Why is he on the field? Like, why is he even getting a jet sweep? It goes for 2 yards. The top end returns aren't even there, And I would extend it even further to when you're 1st and 4 at the goal line in a 0-0 ball game, I think it is, you're not in position to play with your food. And I know they love creative stuff, but you got Mahomes in a 3-point stance, McKinnon taking a snap, and you're doing a shovel pass to Rashee Rice, who's great, but I think it's a running back pitching a ball to a wide receiver, and he almost fumbles the ball. They score a touchdown, and everybody's like, great, look how creative they are in the red zone. but it's like, why are you living this way?
Well, did you hear the backstory behind that one, Chris? Is that Rashee Rice needed that score to set a rookie receiving touchdown record, and they talked about it before. Every single time they practiced it, it was a handoff from McKinnon to Rice, and they decided, okay, you need a touchdown reception, I'll flip it to you. And that's what happened. That's the backstory behind it, apparently.
Yeah, well, after hearing that, it strikes me even more, as a group playing with their food a little bit there. And I do think they have this championship DNA and having Patrick Mahomes, and I've been pounding the table saying they're going to turn it around. When Pacheco gets back, if you watch them, that first snap in the red zone after they took that shot off the rip, they're moving bodies. Like, Wise is going for a ride. They're moving Lawrence Guy. Trey Smith snapping Tavai's neck back. Like, that's who they need to be when Pacheco gets back. I know they can't do that right now, but I would just say, like, I know you're the smartest guy in the room, but maybe sometimes act like you're a rockhead and play bully ball, because you're not going to turn into a 40-point-a-game outfit. Let's control the ball. Let's convert when we can. And Travis Kelce, he might not be catching balls. Yesterday is a perfect example of, like, it's going to be hard down the stretch to get him the ball. The chess match between Andy Reid and Bill, Andy trying to release him in line, motioning him, screening away from him. Even if he's not catching the ball, he's making plays for you. The other guys just have to make the layups. Like, there's two guys in the flat on that first shot of the game, and that's because of Travis Kelce. So find those opportunities, and the guys have to make layups.
Well, and the last one for you on this, maybe Tony's out there because he's still better than the one that's the next man up. How about that as an idea?
Yeah, but there's better than, but are you more dependable? I don't know the answer to that. And, on defense, if we used to have, offensive line, you have a fish, you try to protect around that guy, you don't have another choice. Receiver is not usually a position I think about as, like, costing a team games, because you can decide to throw that guy the ball or not, even if he's out there doing cardio, or you can put Richie James in there or somebody else. Like, I don't know the inner workings of what's going on in the building, but I see what's happening on the field. And to me, there have to be personnel decisions you can make. By that, I mean, like, getting 12 personnel, take a receiver off the field, or put a different guy in, get a different guy for your gadget plays, or take them out for a little bit. Because it's not like they're yielding big returns.
Two more for you, Chris Long, co-host of Inside the NFL and also Greenlight Pod right here on the Rich Eisen Show. You already heard the narratives being set up for the finale of Week 16 on Christmas night between the Ravens and the Niners. Tirico and Collinsworth were already chopping that up as the Ravens were done chopping up the Jaguars, that this is for maybe a Super Bowl preview, that the team that's maybe best equipped to beat the Niners is coming into the Niners' house, and the Ravens, you're already shaking your head no, and that the MVP is up for grabs too, whoever wins this game.
That's true. I think the MVP's kind of become like the Heisman, and we know, like, hey, most valuable player, different years we'd be giving it to different people, but we basically give it to the quarterback that has the best year and finishes the strongest.
Okay.
Right. And, like, Purdy is minus 200 or something like that. Lamar's second behind him. And you look at, like, the two different ways that they're the most valuable players. Like, Purdy's got these incredible stats. He does make great plays off platform. So he's like a point guard. I liken him to an elite point guard that can actually score. He's not a game manager. I disagree with Cam on that one. And I disagreed on the Dak thing. But like, when it comes to Purdy, he can actually make those plays off schedule. So I don't think he's a game manager. And I think Lamar, when you watch him last night, the reason I'm concerned about the Ravens is, yeah, the defense is really good, right? But I really think Lamar has to do so much right now with Mark Andrews down and now with Keaton Mitchell down that I was worried about the offense had Keaton Mitchell come out of the game healthy. I know they ran for like 200 yards. I looked up at one point, I'm like, wow, they ran for 200 yards. It felt like 98. It just creeps up on you. But I do think against better defenses, and I'm not talking about the run game because Jacksonville's been solid there, but it's hard to make that big adjustment, and they were trying to be more explosive, and now you lose Keaton Mitchell. I do worry about that situation. In that game, I lean San Francisco. I mean, like, and if you're asking me who actually poses the Niners the biggest threat in the Super Bowl, I think that list is short. Like, that list is very short. I I could see if Kansas City turns it around in a way that I'm not anticipating. Kansas City could be tough. Sure, Baltimore could give them a game, but I also think Buffalo, we just talked about them. If they slide in the dance, they actually pose, to me, a bigger threat than the other teams in the AFC to beat San Francisco.
So then last one for you, Chris, is the team we're not talking about because, again, we're talking about the big four in the NFC as the Lions got back on track against the Broncos on Saturday night. And we're talking about the Bills now in the same breath as the Ravens and the Dolphins. Obviously, you've got the Chiefs. Who are we not talking about in either conference that you think can make a run here?
A run. I mean, like, okay, in the NFC asterisk, like, it's going to be hard for anybody to beat San Francisco, No,
but I mean, a run makes the Final Four then. I mean, the Bucks, the Rams are two in the NFC right now.
The Rams to me are a team that could get hot. And if the Texans hadn't had all these injuries, and I mean, they're going to get guys back, can they slide in? If they still had Tank Dell, I feel like, hey, look at the way the D-line closed that game out yesterday. That was awesome. Like, they are a dangerous team, but I think the Rams doing what they've done is incredible. And because Matt Stafford, a guy that some of us wrote off a little bit because of his age and, projecting injuries and just where this team was going to be, they are doing this with a bunch of just guys on defense and Aaron Donald, but they're doing it. And I got to give Sean McVay a lot of credit. I did not anticipate them being here. So I think those teams, and then the Bucks, the reason that game's so interesting to me is the Cowboys and the Eagles are watching that game, getting ready to go. And they're watching that game and they're saying, like, damn, we might have to, one of us are going to have to go down to Tampa, and play a football game. And I know Tampa probably doesn't match up with the Cowboys so well in a lot of ways, and the Eagles in a lot of ways either. But that's a lot worse than going to Atlanta. And that's a lot worse, I think, than going to New Orleans at this juncture. So, Tampa could make it interesting for somebody one weekend in January.
Chris, you're the man. Have a great green light pod. Oh, who's on it? You got anybody for me this week?
I got my brother in here today.
Great.
We've got Stanford Steve this week. Pretty usual cast of characters. I wish I could report more.
Okay. Are you going to talk about aircraft? What was your brother tweeting about? What the heck was that?
Oh, yeah. He has a flight simulator.
What was that?
So he thinks he's Sully. And
minus the seagulls, I hope.
Well, yeah, no seagulls, but he's flying his Cessna over all of our houses and taking pictures and sending them to us. It's kind of creepy. So,
well, happy holiday to the Long family.
Happy holidays.
Take care of yourself,
Thanks.
Chris. You
got it,
buddy. It's Chris Long, everybody. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.